the lead singer / artist, whoever it is, and whoever their drummer is, can be very important. It's very important. I think that was kind of lost for a long time.
I mean, I think that's a large piece of this puzzle that we haven't talked about yet, which is the live show portion.
Yeah.
And not just for him, but for Common too, because this was when Common started to use a band live. And I think one of the important things was when they were starting this tour and doing that stuff, they were very adamant about, because they kept doing like interviews talking about, well, we studied the Yodas.
Right.
Who the Yodas. And so they were very in a appreciative way, like, hey, we're going to do what Funkadelic and Earth, Wind & Fire and Prince and James Brown and all these other great people gave you in a show. Like, we're going to do, like Al Green vocal mic tricks, and we're going to do these things. Yep. And this was the first time, not the first time, but I think for a lot of people, they didn't, or they couldn't appreciate that. Cats could, what I'm saying? Musicians could. It was like, oh, wow, okay, he's doing the Al Green step back from the mic. Yeah,
step back from the mic, keep singing. You're doing the hand motions, let the band know to come down a level dynamic. Yep. He's doing the Prince cues where he's throwing up the hands, throwing up how many hits he wants. Stop, good God, all of that.
Transitions and everything.
Transitions.
You have horn arrangements.
You have instrumental grooves in the middle where call and response going on. I mean, there's legendary things that happened during his show, and
I think that has been the difference between maybe him and then the other artists.
Yes,
about like when they did something, because his would carry over, because some people don't. I mean, don't know, but they said on this, like with Voodoo, they would just listen to Prince records and watch bootlegs and then and play jam off the records. And then they would come up with stuff and let's keep this, do this, whatever. And so I think that with the live musicianship transferred over to Common's thing, I think that was because at that point, it was like the Roots were known to be live, but then now you got this guy that's known to be an MC.
Yeah. It evolved.
That, and
it helped evolve hip hop a lot in a lot of different ways. You know? And again, I think it's really it's the foundation for what's happening now, which is now it's just hip hop and funk and all those things have become a melting pot. But meanwhile, R&B has not really evolved from that point. It's still that's a whole nother conversation. But it has evolved. Especially in hip hop, a lot, just because of the fact of the Voodoo approach, the Roots approach. The Roots are now, they're the legendary Roots crew. They've been on TV for almost 10 years.
Well, it's funny you say that, because if you go back 20 years and you look and see who's the top hip hop group or whatever, they probably wouldn't be. They wouldn't be there. They wouldn't be there, or who's getting covers on the Source or. This, they probably won't be there, but right about now they aren't on the Fresh 37 tour, right, something like that. When you look at what came out when Voodoo came out album wise, you're not seeing anybody celebrate like Donnell Jones, and no knock against him, no one's celebrating I think Where You Want to Be, hell yeah, 20 years ago. Right. No, yeah. You know what I'm saying? No one's celebrating, Genuine's, this, that, whatever. And it's like no knock against them, but it kind of just goes to show you, it's kind of like, this was done, and it was done with, when you have real musicians, real singers, and all these things, some stuff just stands the test of time, and it's not for the time.
It's not,
I think this is one of those, and also, man, one of the things that we didn't talk about was those on Voodoo, in between those songs, those little grooves that were never sung. They
yes. I mean, there's just there's so many nooks and crannies in that record. Shout out to Charlie Hunter. That dude is a big part of that record too, and that really broke him out. He became one of the most sought after guitarists / bass players.
After that,
yeah, basically, he was. I had heard of him, but then after that, he
well, you know, it's funny. That's how I was with Roy. Like I had heard of him, and I mean, I'll be honest. I heard about him prior to Voodoo. Mm-hmm. I just never knew, like, Dana, where do I start? Right. You know what I'm saying? Because he had won a Grammy for the Havana.
Yeah, Havana in '97.
The Havana record, and I was like, well, I really don't want the Latin record. That's not his thing, like, per se.
Right.
But, and I remember when I saw, I was like, okay, Questlove's on here.
Right.
D'Angelo's on here. Okay, I know Sadiq's got it too. All right, Roy. I said Roy's okay. I gotta just get this. Let me just. And then from there, I was like, okay, I'll build my collection. And Voodoo was really, and it was really the start of me. Voodoo and Time Traveling. And I'll tell you a story about Time Traveling.
Yeah.
Back in the days of pre-social media, the OK Player was the site to go to where you just kind of kept up with all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Questlove had a tour diary, and they had a page for Common.
Okay.
And they were like, said like Water for Chocolate's coming,
right?
And they had they had a sniplet sound thing, like you could hit play and they would play like snippets, and they had a loop of Time Traveling without the vocals.
Yeah, I remember that. I bet
man, I played that thing. Man, I played that thing. I know at my workstation when I was working customer service on the phone, I know they got tired of hearing that. I played that thing all day, just on repeat.
It was bopping. That was like, a bop, man.
And all you heard was and then Roy coming in. I was just like, To this day, man, listen. To the powers that be.
Yeah.
I need y'all to do a box set or some snippets or some demo releases or something.
Look, Questlove need to come on back out, man, just break out a bunch of stuff.
I need, because I know it's got to be stuff, man.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot. We could go on and on about this because there's a bunch of stuff that we could talk about.
Okay, let me ask you about Mama's Gun.
Please.
What's your favorite cut off that? I mean, what are the ones you like? Ooh,
I mean, man, that's. I mean, Booty is crazy on that one.
Okay.
I loved. I loved Didn't You Know, of course. Oh, yeah. The original Bag Lady. I love that. I loved the joints. 80, 2000, I believe. Okay. And the other one that goes with it. 80, 2000, and then the other.
Teach Me Philosophy.
That joint is dude. That whole record, start to finish, though. Really, I mean, I actually.
It's funny when I have a Modern Drummer magazine, and when they asked Questlove for his like top 10 drum albums, he lists that one in there as one of his. Like,
it is.
One of the ones he thought was. I mean, you know what? I think because they came out in that order, it was like Voodoo, Like Water for Chocolate, and then Mama's Gun. I think. First of all, I think all of them, really showcase his drumming in a sense, like you said, like, okay, like you can do certain things and still be here. Like, I don't have to be super flashy on Dee and Erica's thing, and I can do this pocket thing on like, Common's thing, whatever. I think just... and shout out to, because did Bob Power engineer these? Bob Power?
Bob Power, I think, is a part of some of this stuff. But I think Russell Elvira is the guy.
So in that case, then shout out to him, man, because the engineering on these things are.
I think it's mostly Russell Elvira on a lot of this stuff.
I mean, like that's a big piece to all of this, to making them sound like.
I would say that Questlove, he was working so ridiculous at that time. Like, he was doing like 4 records at once, like at Electric Lady at that time. I think some of his best records or his best drumming is the stuff where he's not even spending that much time on it. Like, I think because that dude could dissect. He could dissect with the best of them. He's a drum music nerd.
He says, "Yes, you're not busy. So
when he's
keep
busy,
you away from this."
When he's busy and he's just like, "All right, I got 45 minutes. We're going to do this real fast." Like, those are some of his best drums. Like the drums on The Seed. Like, that's he talks about that where he says, he was supposed to go on a date. And and then he forgot that Cody Chestnut was coming, so they just recorded he recorded that beat like I think it was 2 takes. Yeah, 2 takes, and then he had to roll because he had to go.
Did it.
Yeah, he just did it, and I think that's some of his best work. And that a lot of that record, is just being, just going. I mean, I think that's some of the best music. I mean, I think even like Prince, when I think about Sign of the Times, I don't think that dude was even like conscious about how great that record was because it wasn't the record that he wanted. Yeah, because it wasn't the triple record. And it's like, man, this is just, it's so genius. And the fact that he goes straight from that into Love Sexy and just didn't even think about it. Yeah, and the Black Album, and he just went straight from that. It's like
it's funny you say that because I know you saw that new Dwayne Tudor book.
Yeah, I got it.
No, the new one.
The new one that's coming out in 2021.
Yeah. That's good. It's funny you say that because I think most artists are kind of like that. Like I don't think, I don't think Stevie Wonder knows what his classic run of albums.
No,
I mean like millions of people. Just like I don't think Prince ever was like, oh yeah, this was, he probably was like, like you said, like with Sign of the Times, he was like, well, this ain't the one that I wanted.
Yeah,
like dude, do you know how?
It's so it's crazy.
Do you know what the thing has done for people?
Yo,
like this is
they don't.
And then I asked you that.
They don't.
Yeah, I asked you that to say this. Do you think these 3 albums get their just due? Like, do you think they get?
I think they do. Honestly, I think that they do because that's something we keep going back to. We keep going back to Voodoo. We keep going back to that period. And I think also because I don't think we realized it at the time how revolutionary it was. And now because these artists grow into these different people. Mm-hmm. Like Erykah Badu is now like anything to anyone. She's DJ, she's rapping, she's got, she's got like amazing kids. She still releases albums, but she does whatever she wants, whenever she wants to. And Common again has an Oscar.
He's an Oscar. He's an actor.
He's an actor. He's writing songs with John Legend.
He's got books.
He performs at like all the big award shows. He tours all over the country. He dates like celebrities.
Yeah.
He's just like, and he still looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
20 years ago.
I think I'm gonna kind of say the opposite. Just
okay.
And then I say that to say, as dope as they are, we mean the public or people don't give them their just due in terms of they aren't as heralded as like a Off the Wall is or like a Talking Book or outside. Even though those albums were big across the board.
Well, those are all different. See, I mean, when you go like that, I mean, that's a different. Now you're talking about different kinds of impacts. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So,
like, because you're saying like Michael Jackson is
so. Then let me rephrase the question.
Okay.
Do you think these have had the impact?
In that case, maybe not. Okay. Maybe not. Because I mean, again, these are black albums for the most part.
Okay. Even within the culture.
Even within the culture, then I would say, yeah. Within the culture, yes. I would say in the broader scheme of things, people still don't know probably like they know about Common B. They probably don't know about like Water for Chocolate.
Yeah.
Because B is the most popular record because it's Kanye.
Yeah, it's got Go and
and John Mayer's on that. You know, it's more of a pop look.
I think it kind of goes back to something I heard like Eddie Murphy say one time about Muhammad Ali, and he was saying like it was like maybe early 90s.
Okay.
And he was saying like, and that's when Ali at first got, like it had been revealed that he had Parkinson's.
Okay.
And so he was saying like Eddie was saying like say like people shouldn't make fun of Ali because like that's a great dude and he's done a thing. And he was saying like we as a people don't like we don't uphold our heroes enough.
Right.
And say like this is like we don't. We say stuff that's not a classic is a classic.
Sure. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like we'll say like, oh yeah, like this is a classic.
They say it after 2 weeks.
Right. But
this is after 20 years.
I mean, like when you listen to a song like a song for Asada, that makes you okay, who's Asada?
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Or like when you hear he's got his pops at the end of the song talking. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's like you said, it's music not for the time, but for the future.
Yeah, for times.
For times, not for the actual time.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, you know,